Hello everybody, welcome back to this video series where we are creating an alarm app using the MERN stack, which includes MongoDB, Express, React, and Node.js. Now in the last episode, what we did is we created a route, a routing system for our application. A routing system that works so that when we go to each route, for example, a delete route, and type in this URL, it gives us some response. The first thing I want to do in this video is first organize our routes. So the nice thing in Postman is you can organize your routes by creating a new collection right here. Just create collection, and this collection will be something like a folder where you can store all your routes. Now I'm going to give it a name. I'm just going to say alarm just to stay consistent. Alarm. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some routes. So the first thing is an API, right? A /API to the routes, and this will get us all the items in our data, or the alarms in our data. So I'm going to store this in the alarms collection, and I'm going to call it get all alarms. And it will take a few seconds and it will save it to our collection. Now today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working on our controllers. So controllers, as I said before, we are working on an MVC architecture. So controllers are just the actual functioning code, the code that will be responsible for requesting and sending of data. So here another route, then /id, just let's say for example, and I'm gonna save this, not actually. So I'm gonna, the alarm connection, I'm going to save it as get single alarm. Nice. What next? Next we want to be getting we are done with the get request. Now it's post, and this we're just going to save it to create alarm. So this pattern is basically the MVC architecture. There is a model which just determines the shape of our database, which we did as a Mongoose schema and model, if you remember. There is a controller which will control everything, the incoming requests and the outgoing responses. There will be also a views. A views is, we're not going to be really concerned with that for now. A view is on the front end side. It's just displaying the data. Sending and displaying the data is called the views. So let's just finish this up. Update alarm, and we are left with only one, which will be, I believe, is deleting, right? So there are 5, and it is deleting. So one thing I want to do before we start here, first let me cd into the backend folder. Let's clear this npm run dev to start the server, and this is taking long. And in the backend folder, I want to create a new folder, controller. Controllers. So we have views, we have browsers, we have controllers, the MVC architecture. So inside the controllers, I'm going to say alarm controller.js. Now we have an alarm controller.js. So now that is done with this, let me save the final one, delete alarm. So now let's start working. First thing is that, this is done. So So the absolute first thing we want to do is we want to be able to get all the alarms. Okay, when we send a request to this root, we want to get all the alarms. So let's do that. First, we need a function for this, right? So I'm gonna say get all and request and response. Okay, and inside of here, first thing, we need a way to access the database. So we're gonna import, if you remember from the models, we have exported this, right? So we're gonna import it here. So you can say const alarm model equals require here. Then out of this folder into the models folder and alarm models. Okay, let's just save it. Then here, first I gotta say here, actually take this out actually and say module, I don't know, export. You know what, I'm gonna come here and say module dot export equals, and I'm gonna the structure. So get all will be one of the exports. So what we're going to do is we're going to send every single data in alarm database. Okay, so it's simple, actually it's very simple. What you need to do is we want to say for const alarms. Okay, so all the alarms equals and this should be an asynchronous function, so just say async and come here awaits. You can say alarm model. So that's the module we just imported, and we can say dot, and actually I'm gonna come here and import Mongoose, because we will be working with many different properties of the database. Okay, so we just want to say alarm model. You can say dot, and you can say find. If you say find one, this will only find a single one. Okay, just want to say find, and to get all the alarms, we just pass in this an empty curly braces, meaning find everything. So this alarm will have everything stored in it. So simple, right? Now what we have to do is we just have to send this back to the client, right, when we request it. So we just say response, and here the status. First of all, we want to 200 status. Then we want to what's next? We actually want to just send it. Okay, send alarms, and let's save it. So we have successfully created our controller, but we need to use it. We need to tell we need to tell our application where should we use this controller. And to do that, let's just come here. Yeah, let's just come here one const, and we can the structure get all from require. Then we go to controllers, alarm controller. Okay, so we are get all from this. So now it's simple. When we go to this request and a get method on this URL, we want to send that. So just say get all here, and if we save now, and we can come to here, and if we just say send, and this will load. just give it a moment, and it should send us everything in an alarm database. By the way, we have, where is it? We have this alarm. This is the database. So the collection, we have alarms collection right here, and so we should get these two in theory. Okay, so we cannot get API slash, okay, why is that? Okay, slash alarms, I forgot to do that, sorry. So do this slash alarms for all of them. Alarms, alarms, and finally here. Okay, this is very perfect. So anyway, let's come here and let's send it, and it is working, but I forgot. Okay, instead of sending it, let's say JSON response.json, then response.json alarm. Okay, so yeah, it should give us in a JSON format, and it's working perfectly. So we have our two alarms right here. Next, let's save this, and we want to now get a single, right? So once I get single equals sync request response. Okay, now first we want to get what do we want to get? We want to get the alarm which is the ID of the URL. Okay, so in the URL we have a param ID, right? So let's say const ID equals request.params .id. Okay, so now what we want, first let's export this, by the way. So get single. Now from the ID, what we want to do is we want to take the ID and find a corresponding alarm from the database by using the ID. So what that would look like is we take this ID, for example, and get single alarm, and instead of ID just paste this, and when we send, we want to get that this alarm. Okay, so in order for us to do that, it's very simple. We can use the same logic actually. So const alarm this time, because it's single, await alarm model dot find one, because we only want to find one, because there will always be only one. Mongoose doesn't give two different alarms the same ID. Okay, so find one, and we pass in the parameter and what we want to find. So find one where the ID, and remember in MongoDB the ID is not just ID, it's underscored ID. So where the underscored ID is the same as the ID. Okay, now if we save, and what we want to do is just say response status 200 and JSON, we want to send the alarm. Okay, so simple. Let's save this and come here, and we want to import it to our app, right? So get single, and we want to take this and put it here. So get single. Let's just save. If we send this, perfect, we are getting this hello 053000, hello 053000. But if we search for this, we should get the high one. Okay, so high, perfect, you see, so it's working. Now let's work on creating okay, reload. let's work on creating a new alarm in the database. Okay, and that's actually very simple, and you already know it actually, because when we were testing this, we already did that. Okay, so now we just need to do the same thing. We just need to use the same logic. So come here, const create, let's just say create, because we're just creating a new alarm, and there's here the synchronous function, and let's pass it here, create, and let's come here and create here, and we want to create on this post request, right? So we're just passing create here. Okay, now let's work. So first we want to get the data we want to create, right? So that's very simple actually. What we want to do is take the structure in here too. First, what do we need? So in order to see that, let's go to the model. So we need name, hour, minute, and second, right? So structure name, hour, minute, and second. Okay, structure it from the request.body. Then, now that we have that data, it's simple. We just say const new alarm equals await. We don't need to say await actually, because we need to say alarm model dot create. Okay, create, and here we want to pass it some property. So name, hour, minute, and second. So now have to save this. Now we gotta want to take this. It's the same thing. We just want to come here, paste it here, and format it. We want to say new alarm. Okay, so after we are creating it with these values, we are sending it back to the user. Now let's save, and the routers, let's save. And if we come here and click, sorry, okay, it's not okay. Slash alarms. Okay, I have changed. Should be slash API slash alarms, as we were did in here. Okay, so if we save here, the reason this happened is because the request body was empty. So if we go here and refresh, it should create it actually, but it is 000000, and the reason that is because we have provided a default value. Now we don't want that. We actually want to check if all these properties exist, right? So if first, if there is no name or hour or minutes or second, then what we want to do is just response the status would be 400, which is a bad request, and we just want to send this text. We want to send all fields are required. And then we don't want we just want to return. Okay, the reason we want to return is because if we don't return, if it will evaluate this, then it will come here and it will still create it, and it will send. If you send a request more than once, then you will have an error and your application, your server will be broken. Then what we want to do, one last thing, we want to say try and catch, and just say throw new error. Actually, it will be simpler if we just console log the error. Okay. Now we want to take all of these here and want to paste it here. Then finally we want to take this and we want to use this. Okay, but here instead of 200 we want to do 500, meaning there has been an error on the server side. It's not your fault, it's the server's fault. And we just want to send could not create the user. Okay, so let's just save this. Now if let's save all of these, by the way. Okay, now if we come here, we don't need these, and if we send, all fields are required. Okay, perfect. So now row, then JSON, and let's create it. First we need a name, right? Morning, let's say our one. I'm not sure, just say 44, and second let's just say 21. Okay, now let's just click on send. Okay, it has sent it and it should create it, but it should be an error. Okay, okay, here, perfect, it's working. Now why do we have this here? It's because we are not awaiting this. Okay, it's asynchronous, and after the creation of the data is not directly linked with this sending it back. So first we need to wait for it to be created. Okay, if we send it again, there should be an error. Okay, and that's because duplication. Okay, see, now if we didn't have this try catch block, we would have gotten an error and the server would have broken down. So that's good. So just to fix that, you can say night, just change the name, because if you remember in the model we said this unit needs to be unique. Okay, and nothing else. Now this should work perfectly and we should get everything here, and if we came here and we should have it. So let's just delete this to be okay. Now so this is simple, as you can see it's very simple, and we need to only work on these two controllers here, and it's a really simple code. It's not anything like complicated, and this is the nice thing about using the MERN stack. It's because if you have the basic knowledge of JavaScript, it's not that hard. Okay, so this video is getting too long for my liking, so instead what we're gonna do is I'm gonna make a part 1 and part 2 of this. So in the next video we're just going to be working on the patch and the delete controllers. So thank you for watching. I hope this video has helped you, and until next time, goodbye.